In this case, the Rays are better than the Yankees. Sorry to do that to you, Josh.
I don't think we've ever seen a division this bad in the history of the NFL.
Cleveland fans, I am glad I am not one of them. It's really just kind of embarrassing to watch.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Keeping Score with Josh and Ray, a podcast show dedicated to bringing analysis of Rutgers sports and sports around the country. I'm Josh.
And I'm Ray.
And in today's show, we discuss our predictions for the Mlb playoff race and NFL regular season heading into Week 5. So we can start with the Mlb playoffs. My Yankees are facing the Rays today in Game 2. By the time this podcast comes out, the game will be done. But Game 1, we won 9-3 thanks to a grand slam in the ninth inning by none other than Giancarlo Stanton, the superstar himself, my personal hero, along with Aaron Judge. And this is going to tie in with the Astros. I have been really campaigning for us to get back to the American League Championship Series where we left off last year and lost to the cheating, disgraced Houston Astros, the ultimate bane of everyone's existence. So the Astros are also facing the Oakland A's. I hope the A's can take that. I just cannot be objective when it comes to the Astros whatsoever. Do you have any thoughts on that, Ray?
You know, I think that the Yankees are not going to be facing the Astros in the NLCS. But I do think that the Yankees actually, just to make a little bit of a prediction, I'm going to put the Rays and the Athletics in the ALCS. I think that the Rays and the Athletics are both really good teams. I think that they're better than their opponents. In this case, the Rays are better than the Yankees. Sorry to do that to you, Josh. But, I think it showed during the regular season as well. I believe the Yankees were 2-8 against the Rays in the regular season. And also, the Rays just had a really good year. They've been solid throughout, and the Yankees haven't really been as solid. They are a really, really good team. But yeah, my prediction is that the NLCS or the ALCS is going to see the Rays and the Athletics.
Yeah, well, the Rays were the first, they were the best team in the American League in the regular season this year. Of course, it was only 60 games, but it still, I'm sure if it was a full season, they would have been up there regardless. And I respect the team. They haven't been this good for a while, since we were kids, probably. So they made the World Series in 2008. Ever since then, I think it's been up and down, but it's good for them that they're this good now. Obviously, like Game 2, we're starting this rookie, Garcia, this pitcher. I don't know that much about him because he's new, but obviously the Yankees are going to go as far as their bats take them. This is not a pitching team. It's an offensive team. So the Rays, I would say, are a more complete team, but if we can just keep on hitting, it's all about the hitting, man. I mean, Aaron Judge and Stanton, those two are going to, those two alone are solid. Then we got, the catcher, Gary Sanchez, So, although I do agree with you, the Rays are a better team all around on paper, I think the bats are always going to keep us in the game. Yeah. And I do think that we can take this series. I know I'm biased, but I think at the end of the day, the Rays – they just started getting good again, and we've been good for a few years now, a couple of years. I think that the playoff experience goes into it. I think we can take this one. The championship series, I would be more reserved about, but this series, I feel like we could take it.
Yeah, you definitely made a couple of good points, considering that the Yankees do rely on their bats more. They did get Garrett Cole in the offseason, and he is a really, really good pitcher. To be honest with you, I did expect a little bit more of him this season, but then again, he does have playoff experience under his belt, albeit with the Astros, who of course are your enemy, Josh. But I think that the bats are always going to keep them in the game, like you said. It's just a matter of which team is better all around, and I think that's a really interesting point to discuss. But moving on to the other series, just a quick overview: the Marlins and Braves are going at it in the NLDS, along with the Dodgers and Padres. Personally, I think the Dodgers are one of the best teams in the league, and I have them go into the World Series. For sure. On the other matchup, you have the Marlins and Braves. Either of those teams, they're all right. I mean, they're nothing special. The Braves haven't really been able to get far in the playoffs the past couple of years. Marlins are kind of a surprise team. They are good, I guess. I think that the 60-game season helped them out a little bit. But I'm going to take the Braves going to the next series, the NLCS. And from there, I just think that the Dodgers are just going to go the World Series.
Yeah, I would say the Marlins and Braves is kind of the least interesting series that we have right now, just because I don't see either of those teams being championship contenders this year. But definitely LA, they've for the better part of this decade, they've been up there, So I definitely see them going to the series this year. San Diego's also, they're good. I feel like either one of those teams could beat both the Marlins and Braves in the series. I'll say that. Obviously, we also have the Astros and Oakland Athletics going at it in the other American League Division series. I do think, as much as I hate to say, I think the Astros will take that one. Just because their roster is still very, very good, regardless of their cheating and terrible morals. Yeah, so my prediction for who's going to win each division series, I would say Yankees, Astros, LA Dodgers, and I'll go with Atlanta for the other one.
Yeah, I think you have some good picks there. By the time we film our next podcast, we'll probably know the outcomes of some of these series, or at least how they're moving along. Mm-hmm. Now, as that moves along, though, we do have the National Football League going on. We just finished up week 4, and so let's do a little bit of a recap of that. So, in my opinion, the teams are looking really good so far. This isn't really a surprise, but of course you have the Chiefs, you have the Seahawks, you have the Buccaneers actually are kind of surprising me, and we have the Bills as well. So those teams are definitely, putting on a show through the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's funny that you say the Buccaneers are surprising you. They're not really surprising me because even though Tom Brady is 43, he's still Tom Brady. He doesn't age. Then you got Mike Evans. You got Ronald Jones at running back. He's pretty good. They got a lot of pieces there on offense. Defense maybe not as great, but still a very good offensive team. Oh, and they have, of course, Chris Godwin, another great wide receiver. So they've got weapons there. That's why Tom went there in the first place, is because they had nice pieces there on offense for him to use. But yeah, of course, the Chiefs and Seahawks both 4-0. That could be the Super Bowl matchup right there this year, Chiefs and Seahawks. Just because Russell Wilson is just playing out of his mind. Mahomes is always going to be good. But don't forget about the Packers are 4-0. They haven't been, the Packers haven't been, I would say, elite, like the 2010 era Packers for a while, but they're getting back there now. Aaron Jones is just ridiculous. Devontae Adams is hurt, but he'll come back. And Aaron Rodgers is also another ageless wonder. But we're talking about all the good teams. I want to talk about a certain division that has just all 4 bad teams right now, and that's the NFC East. I don't think we've ever seen a division this bad in the history of the NFL. It's ridiculous. It's another crazy thing going on in 2020.
Yeah, it's really just kind of embarrassing to watch. You have my hometown team, the Eagles, who are 1-2-1, and they're in first place in the division. So I think that tells you all you need to know about it. They just managed to get a win against the 49ers, but you look at that team and they've been mangled by injuries.
Decimated.
Yeah. Ugh. But, you look at the rest of the teams in the division, Giants are terrible. Cowboys are not doing great. And, it's really not a fun group of teams to watch. We'll see as the season goes on if it'll get any better. I don't think it's going to improve much. But, for the sake of my, I guess, fanship of the Eagles, I hope they get better. Because, I think Carson Wentz is better than he's playing right now. And hopefully, he gets it going a little bit. Carson
Wentz, I think, is extremely talented. But obviously, he's had injury problems. But even besides that, who has he been throwing to outside of Zach Ertz? And now Goddard, the other tight end, is pretty good. But, I mean, their wide receivers specifically have never been good since he's been there. That I can remember. Who is it? Nelson Aguilar? I can't even name the other ones.
Yeah, well, right now, I think that a bunch of our starting receivers were out in the game against the 49ers. And Dallas Goedert, I believe, was also injured. So you're right. Carson Wentz, he hasn't really had a lot of targets, this season or last season, or at the end of last season. And, he has thrown a couple of interceptions.
Right.
Actually, more than a couple.
Yeah.
I think that with a couple of key receivers coming back, he's definitely going to, have a more, I guess, exciting time than he's having now.
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to be the Eagles or Cowboys that win the division, as bad as it is. I mean, because the Cowboys, they do have an offense but their defense is just so awful. It's like wild. And Washington and Giants they're just useless. So they're not going to win. So yeah, it's either going to be the Eagles or the Cowboys. And I also relate to the thing with the no receivers, because as a Jets fan, I've watched Sam Darnold throw to just I don't even know who they are anymore. The starting receivers get hurt. Jameson Crowder injured, Le'Veon Bell injured. He's a running back, but whatever. And they just throw to people that like you'll just never, you don't hear about. You just don't know the practice squad guys. So it's rough with the injuries in the league right now. It's every team's had injury problems, and then especially with COVID-19, that's a whole other thing. The Titans and Steelers couldn't even play their game this past week because of Corona. We're gonna see a lot more injuries and a lot more probably COVID-19 related things for the rest of the year. But credit to the NFL, they've been able to keep it going. No outbreaks besides the one in Tennessee, so that's a positive.
Yeah, I think 3 weeks of the NFL really going very strong as far as the limited number of COVID cases that they've had. I think that's promising for the rest of the season. Obviously, I don't know if the colder weather is going to impact that or not, but it's really good to see, considering how big these rosters are, and just all the travel that they're going through. So hopefully they keep it up, and we'll get at least close to a full NFL season, barring any major outbreaks. Now, moving on a little bit to the teams that you've been surprised by, Josh. What do you think are some of the big surprises this season?
Big surprises. Well, the Titans actually are 3-0. They haven't played as many games because they didn't play this past week. The Titans are kind of one of my favorite teams right now to watch, just because they're kind of like an underdog team. They weren't good for a long time, and now they just beat the Patriots in the playoffs last year. And it's been great to see Ryan Tannehill be so successful, after struggling with the Dolphins for years under the horrible, no good, very bad coach known as Adam Gase. And now he's had a career renaissance in Tennessee, and it's great to see that. So the Titans are definitely one of my surprises. And also can't forget about the Cleveland Browns at 3-1. That's like their best record they've had since like forever. I can't remember the year. It's been a long time. Obviously, Baker has to prove that he's the guy to stay there. Odell is some, inconsistent, but he's capable of getting 200 yards in a game. He can do that. So he's a star. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, they've got guys on offense to work with. So that's a team that is also fun to watch. And I just hope they do well for the sake of the fans. They haven't made the playoffs in forever. And it's just those fans deserve some good things, because that's one of the most tortured fan bases in all of sports. So I wish good things for them.
Yeah, Cleveland fans, I am glad I am not one of them. I really don't think Philadelphia fans have it much better. But, I think one of the surprises that has really struck me this season is the amount of injuries going on. A couple of reports have it that people are thinking, it's because they didn't have any preseason games, or it's just kind of a natural, flow of the season. To be honest, I don't really know if any of those are true, but it still is surprising me. And I think that a team that has really been impacted by it, like I said earlier, has been the 49ers. With the injuries that they've had, they're 2-2 right now. This was a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. So I think it's definitely, interesting to keep an eye on them to see if they can really perform as well as they did last year, even with all these injuries going on.
I remember when they were playing the Jets, Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, Nick Bosa, like Raheem Mostert, the running back. It's all these players. And I think there is something to say about how there was a lack of preseason. Maybe that affected the preparation. Obviously, they still had practice and stuff, but because of COVID, they didn't have preseason games. And it's just going forward, I've never been that much of a fan of the preseason games. I think maybe they could just have 1 or 2 instead of 4. I think that they maybe just have to get better at, conditioning. There has to be just more health protocols and stuff. Obviously, they have all of that, and you're never going to completely avoid injuries in such a high contact sport. But this season in particular has just been really bad with it, and that I feel like it does have something to do with the the preseason, because maybe their bodies were more rusty going into week one than previous years. You know, you have to think about stuff like that, because even though you can stretch and stuff and have practice, nothing is going to prepare you like a real game. Having just a 1 or 2 preseason games, or just at least like a scrimmage or something, might have helped them prepare more. Obviously, I'm not a health expert, but that's just what I tend to think.
Now, looking forward from now, we talked about some of the teams that surprised us. We talked about the divisions. Now, let's make some predictions for the upcoming weeks. Josh, what do you think is one of your predictions for this season?
So I think Russell Wilson's going to be the MVP. And I said that last year until Lamar Jackson just went ridiculous and won it. This year, he's been playing at the same level, if not better. It's like, when you watch Russell Wilson play, it's like it doesn't even make sense. Like, how does he do that? He's this little guy. He breaks tackles from guys that are 3 times his size, and then throws it a strike down the field, 45 yards to Metcalf or whoever he's throwing to. I think Russell Wilson will be MVP if he stays healthy and keeps playing like he is. And I'll say it, I think the Chiefs are going to repeat as champions this year. I do. Their offense is just pretty much unlike any we've ever seen that I can remember personally. It's pretty ridiculous. It's more of an offensive league now, and the Chiefs are at the forefront of that. They've changed how the game's been playing. I think the Chiefs are going to be maybe not as big of a dynasty as the Patriots, but the highest chance of becoming the next dynasty. I'll say that.
Yeah, you talked about Russell Wilson, and then you talked about the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, those are 2 quarterbacks right there who are among the best players in the league. I really agree with you when you say that Russell Wilson is going to be MVP. He's having a great year. And I think he showed it last year too, that this is just what he can do throughout a whole season. So I don't envision him dipping off at all, even though he's really had some great stats. Right. I think that the Chiefs are definitely a good pick to go to the Super Bowl again. They're just a really well-rounded team, especially with Mahomes leading the offense. So, I like your picks there. I think that one prediction that I'll just kind of circle back to is with Carson Wentz. He really has not had a great start to the season. His picks have been really not great. Then again, there have been some injuries, and the Eagles' offensive line hasn't been great. But, Carson Wentz is just a really good quarterback. You saw it at the end of last season where he really didn't have any targets. He had practice squad targets in the playoffs, and, he made things happen. So I really do think that he's going to prove what he can do, and he's going to help get the Eagles to a couple more wins, even though, they might not get that many in total this season. But, I think that's it for today. So make sure to join us next time on Keeping Score for more sports updates. And make sure to follow the Daily Targum on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for more content.